This is a fan-generated show. If you'd like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our new Rumble channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm thrilled to announce the release of my new book, Obama's True Legacy: How He Transformed America. There's a reason why Mike Huckabee calls it a ferocious and chilling read. Order it now at Amazon.com or at FrontPageMag.com. Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov Gang. Tonight, another fantastic program with another superb guest. But first, ladies and gentlemen, please remember we are a fan-generated program and always under intense persecution by the deep state, always being shadow banned. So please subscribe to our YouTube and Rumble channels. Press instant notifications. Make a lot of comments. Press like a lot. Go to jamieglazov.com. Subscribe to our newsletter there. And if you have a few extra finances and you're in a generous mood, please support us. And as always go to liveuптofreedom.com and support the one and only and brave and noble Annie Cyrus in her battle for freedom and for America. Back by popular demand tonight, Jeff Crouere, author of America's Last Chance. Jeff, welcome back to the Glazov Gang.
Hey, Jamie, it's an honor. Great to be with you.
Fantastic, Jeff. Thank you. Got a lot to ask you tonight, but before I do, what's primarily on your mind right now?
We've got the most important election in the history of our nation staring us. We've got the forces of evil that are galvanizing a lot of assets to try to influence this result. We've got a lot of the same factors that were in place back in 2020 still in place this time. So the true will of the people might not even be expressed on November the 5th, 2024. So I am focused on this election. I think it's a turning point. We can either save our country or we're going to go deep into the abyss, Jamie. So it's crunch time as we get closer. It really is.
You mean you don't think that Kamala and Tampon Tim are going to really create a really great country for us?
They're not giving me much joy. Maybe some of the media feels joy. I feel horror when I see them together because they're two communists that have come together to form the most left-wing radical ticket in American history. And we've got a severe problem. I mean, if they pull this off through whatever means they're going to try, then we've got a problem because they are radicals. I've looked at their record. I've studied their record. And more dangerous, in my opinion, than Obama or Biden, Jamie.
I don't trust the polls, but they might be relatively accurate. I mean, if 40% of the country, I don't know, is half the country for these people? Because if half the country supports two communists, we're in a lot of trouble, right?
We are. Just a little history. I was reviewing this the other day. You can go back to 1992 and all the elections since 1992. The Republicans have only won the popular vote one time. And that was in 2004, and that was just barely. Every other election, even when George W. Bush won the first time and Donald Trump won the first time, we did not win the popular vote. So even with all the stealing and shenanigans, there's still a large segment of the American people that support these kind of programs. And that's scary. And it's due to a lot of factors, but that's the reality of what we have. We have a split country, and we've got a lot of people that don't really admire our Constitution, don't cherish our constitutional rights, and they want to give more and more of their freedom away and become more and more dependent on government.
Yeah, the KGB in the 50s and 60s, 70s, you studied their thinking and what they were planning, and one of the keys for them is to just get at the children, get at the American children, get at the education system, corrupt American society, drugs, promiscuity, destroy the Judeo-Christian tradition. And they've been very effective, the enemies of America.
They have. I mean, look at they took prayer out of the schools. And that really, I think, just sort of started this snowball. And wow, it's really out of control now. Now, there might be some hope here in Louisiana, Jamie. We passed a law requiring the Ten Commandments in the classrooms. And I think that's a step in the right direction.
I just did I'm here in LA, just some gyms I'm at, and just quite a few of the young women over the last few months, the years, I overhear them and, oh, I just want my son to be gay. Oh, I want to have a trans son. This is very, very widespread. I hear this a lot. I hear their conversations. I talk to them. It's horrifying what they've turned a very large portion of the younger generation into.
It really is. I mean, I guess these young women don't want to ever be grandmothers. I mean, I guess they don't ever want their children to have children. And that's a sad thing. I mean, in the past, you wanted your family to grow. I mean, you wanted to have successive generations. You lived together. You worked together. You had that kind of bond. And that doesn't exist anymore. It really is a sad state of affairs in our country when you look at what's happened to the family, traditional values. And that's, I think, a big reason for the decline in America.
Well, how evil works, something very much on my mind, Jeff. You look at Turkey today, there's a dog massacre going on over there. There's quite a bit to say about this in terms of, because I see a spiritual battle always in front of our eyes. So it's definitely connected to Satan and something very, very evil. But, the official story is that there's just a lot of strays and we've just got to protect people and clean things up a little bit. But, how did you arrive at this problem in the first place? And also, when you wage a war on dogs and they're pretending that they're just rounding a few of them up and they're having some safe procedures and stuff, but no. If you've got a Muslim population that believes in the Hadith, which demonize dogs, and in the Hadith, Muhammad orders to kill dogs, this is going to be the result. You've got so many vigilantes over there now taking matters into their own hands. Mass graves are being uncovered. There's literally a genocide against dogs happening there. It's just really horrifying. What do you make of it?
No, I agree completely, Jamie. It's so sick. And you've got international outrage about it, and for good reason. I mean, they claim that there are too many of these stray dogs. They claim that they're trying to put them in shelters. Well, we know the numbers, Jamie. I mean, we know that there are only about 100,000 that can fit into the shelters there. And they're talking about millions of dogs. So it doesn't add up. And obviously, there's a mass slaughter going on. And, I think there needs to be more condemnation of this. It's just part of what this administration in Turkey has been doing. It's a corrupt, evil administration. And, they support terrorism. They're fair weather friends. They're supposed to be NATO allies of ours. You can't trust Turkey to be an ally of the United States in NATO. So it's just the latest outrage from this regime there that finally, I think some people are realizing what's going on in that country.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I oftentimes just look at it, go, uncover the layers a bit and go deeper into the spiritual battle because I see something here. Just thought I would put this on the table here a little bit, because Islam is part of this and the media doesn't discuss this, but what is said in the Hadith, what Islam's attitude is to dogs and to other creations by our Lord, to other animals. But I just wanted to mention this sort of, for instance, in Islam, they say, oh, we respect Jesus, we love Jesus. It's just that, well, Jesus is not the Son of God. He's not part of the Holy Trinity. He's not divine. He didn't die on the cross. So it's very interesting, the deception that Islam engages in here, because they respect Jesus, but he didn't die on the cross. And then I think, well, in whose interest would it be to say that Jesus is not our savior if there was a spiritual battle at play? And you look at what Islam does in terms of the war on the Jewish people, the Jew hate, the anti-Semitism, which we see today, especially in terms of Hamas. When we look at the genocide against Christians, when you see their treatment of women, what jihadists and Islam and how it treats women. And I often think about, the hatred of Satan, of Mother Mary for giving birth to Jesus, the hatred that demons have for humans because we can procreate, and this hatred of women in Islam. It's not a complete coincidence. I see dogs very much, I've studied this for years, and I love dogs. And I've come to the conclusion that they are angels that God has sent to our planet. And if there are demonic entities, it's no coincidence that they would wage a war on dogs. Now, I might sound slightly crazy, but can I hand that over to you? And what do you make of what I've just...
I think you make a lot of good points. I mean, dogs are man's best friend, right? I mean, when all else fails, you can count on your dog to be there for you. I mean, America has a love affair with dogs. I mean, I go to the park and everyone has their dog out there walking their dog. So this is a country that loves dogs. And I don't think this story about Turkey has gotten enough play. I don't think it's gotten enough attention. There'd be more outraged Americans if they knew about it. But again, the media does such a horrible job really talking about what countries like Turkey, Iran, other these radical regimes are doing, how they're treating dogs, how they're treating women, how they're treating non-Muslims. I mean, this is a real problem that's going on in our world. Let's look at the population. I mean, from my studies, Jamie, Islam is the second largest religion in the world. And we're talking about billions of people. So, I mean, if there's a large percentage that hold these beliefs, we've got a real problem on our hands.
Thank you, Jeff. And what's not discussed, but so much respect goes out to Robert Spencer, who discusses the Truth at Jihad Watch, and also Daniel Greenfield at his blog, The Point, at frontpagemag.com. Of course, our wonderful Annie Cyrus, who's always speaking the truth on this matter. But in the Hadith, we've got Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, and it's very clear in their Hadiths that that the angels do not come into a house where there is a dog. And so Muhammad ordered the killing of dogs. And a dog that is the color black is considered to be the devil. So this serves as the foundation for a genocide against dogs that has always been waged by Islam, but is today really escalated and transpiring for all to see in Turkey. And it's just interesting, the silence of the animal rights activists on this issue in terms of Islam. Like where are these animal rights activists in terms of Islam? Completely.
Where are the women's rights activists on the treatment of women in Afghanistan and other Islamic regimes, theocratic rulers? Where are all these groups that are always advocating for the rights of women and animals and children, and Christians? When you have this kind of abuse that's going on, they're afraid. Look at the Olympics. They made fun of Christianity. The opening ceremonies were a disgrace. Would they have ever done that to Muslims? Would they have ever made fun of Muhammad the way they made fun of the Last Supper? Never. They'd be too afraid to do it. So I think a lot of it is fear, Jamie.
Absolutely. Our wonderful Annie Cyrus is an expert on Islamic theology and on Islamic texts. She's also an animal lover. I can maybe speak for Annie to say that I think she loves dogs, but I think cats are number one on her scale. But Annie, can we get your wisdom on the genocide against dogs in Turkey right now and the Islamic foundations to that genocide?
Absolutely. And I do love dogs as much as I love cats. The problem is I'm allergic to dogs. So in return, I have 3 cats and just love on dogs when I can. Before I give you my, I guess, thoughts on the genocide of dogs in Turkey, you touched on something that I want to go into depth and actually give evidence about Muslims saying, well, we respect Jesus, but he's not, son of God. There are 2 references in the Quran for anyone who might think me or Jamie are making this up. If you would simply look up chapter 5, verse 111 of the Quran, it says in quick translation, and when the disciples refused Jesus, Jesus said, would you not believe in Allah? They kneeled and said, we believe in Allah and we believe in you, and we testify that we are Muslims. This has been translated by every supreme leader and muftis as Jesus. Not only he was just a prophet and a messenger, but he was the messenger of Islam. Fellow Christians out there, is this the same Jesus you believe in? These are the little tiny pieces of Quran that nobody talks about. Inside Quran itself says on chapter 4, verse 171, O you who have believed, do not cease in your belief, and do not say the Trinity, as that makes you an unbeliever. I don't care how much Muslims are going to walk around and say, we believe in the same God, we believe in Jesus. Literally, the fact that we believe in Trinity makes us non-believers, and the punishment for us, slay them wherever you find them. Quran 9, chapter 9, verse 5. Okay, now we established that evidence and proof of everything we said. Dogs. This is a recent tragedy that has started in Turkey. But Jamie, if you remember, about 7 years ago, on the Glazov Gang YouTube channel, we had a production called Top 10 with Annie Cyrus. One of the top 10 videos I did were the terrifying crimes in Iran under Sharia. And I believe my number 7 or number 8 was owning a dog in Iran will result in your arrest, and they will put your dog down. So if you're going to have a dog, make sure not to walk it outside. This genocide started, of course, 1400 years ago by Muhammad, but in the modern day of life, after the revolution in Iran, Supreme Leader of Iran, Khomeini, brought it back to where if you get a hunting license and kill dogs, you will receive money from government in Iran for killing the dog. Now in Turkey, it has happened over and over. And yes, it all comes from because Muhammad was afraid of dogs. As an animal lover myself, dogs and cats tend to tell you who's a good person, who's a bad person. That's why Muhammad was afraid of dogs, because they would sense his evil. Is there any evidence in the Quran? No, but there are plenty evidences in Hadith and Sirah of Muhammad saying dogs are filthy. And again, punishment for filthy dogs or humans like Jews who are filthy is to be killed. It is tragic. It is not talked about. But unfortunately, I believe it's going to have to wait until they start killing our dogs here in America for any American to even believe it and comprehend it, let alone to fight back against it.
Well, thank you, Annie, because absolutely, and I just will say, if the angel can smell evil, then evil, if it has the power, wants to exterminate that angel. And we see this happening on our planet in terms of Islam. Jeff, let me let you get the final word on this before we move on to some more issues.
Well, I mean, I just appreciate the knowledge you and Annie are sharing, Jamie. And I would just say this, there needs to be a lot more awareness of what is going on, because I don't think that there's anywhere near the type of publicity about this that there needs to be. There should be international condemnation, but there's not. So, I hope it doesn't take this happening in this country for Americans to wake up, but sadly, maybe it will. I mean, I think it's time for these animal rights groups to make their voices heard. We need to shame them into doing something about this, into speaking out about this, Jamie.
I think we're very far gone from that now, because what we see in England today, Sharia is completely taken over. People are so terrified, but even the people that stand up, they're not even putting rapists from the Islamic world in prison in the UK, letting them all off very lightly. At the same time, they're putting British people in prison for just saying something on social media about Islam. It's surreal. And Annie, thank you so much for the wisdom you have shared on the issue of the genocide against dogs in Iran, and on our Lord Jesus Christ and Islam's camouflaging of that issue, on, if that's one way I can describe it, and the hatred and the violence operate through that camouflage. Jeff, Trump-Musk interview that recently went down. Is it a complete coincidence that there were technological problems while they were talking?
Complete coincidence, Jamie. Yes, the enemies of Trump didn't do anything to try to stop that. Well, of course, we know they'll do anything to try to shut him down. And this was a great opportunity for him to reach voters that aren't traditionally Trump voters, younger voters, people in the middle. I mean, Musk said during the interview several times he's a moderate, and he said that he is supporting Donald Trump. So hopefully the people out there that consider themselves moderate, the undecided, will be swayed by that. It was a conversation between two guys. It wasn't really an interview. It was a 2-hour marathon. They talked about all kinds of different topics. You can never imagine Kamala Harris or Joe Biden sitting down with Elon Musk for 2 minutes as opposed to 2 hours. So it just goes to show you, what kind of individual Donald Trump is. He's a guy who's not a typical politician, thank God. He's a guy who is, and I really do think, anointed by God to try to save this country. And that's why I think he's still alive today. It's the hand of God saved him from that assassin's bullet. And we need to get behind him with everything we got to pull this election out. And it's going to be quite a battle, Jamie.
Jeff, who do you think tried to stop that interview or tried to interfere with that interview?
I think it was the deep state actors who are so opposed to Donald Trump, the same type of forces that have been surveilling him, the same type of people that are following Tulsi Gabbard on her flights, the same type of people that have been trying to shut down conservative voices on social media for years and shadow ban us. So I think there's some very high-tech, powerful forces within the deep state who try everything they can to suppress our free speech rights. And they certainly want to suppress Donald Trump. And what I'm going to tell your audience and you, Jamie, is there's a chance that this man will be going to prison. I mean, that he'll be sentenced to prison, and they're going to put him behind bars possibly before this election. I mean, they literally will do anything and everything to stop him. And nothing is beyond what they will do.
Can Trump be in prison during the campaign and still win and become president while he's in prison? That would be just amazing.
Yes. Yes, you can.
Annie, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, based on going back a little bit, 4 years until today, actually, I'm leaning more towards the hacking group of IRGC. This was somewhat confirmed by Google itself that APT-42, which is one of the IRGC Iranian hacking groups, they were behind the hacking of, well, President Trump's campaign recently. Also, the Twitter or X live feed, and back in the time, Pennsylvania hacking, Wisconsin hacking, and a lot of other hackings. I tend to believe that's what it was. Remember, Islamic Republic of Iran, since Biden has stepped aside from the race and Kamala became the possible candidate, Islamic Republic of Iran has put up a lot of effort promoting Kamala Harris, including building websites, promoting the campaign, doing hacking into President Trump's campaign. And as all three of us know, they've been targeting President Trump's life, from attempts to bounties. So I strongly believe Iran is behind us. But again, it's just a calculated, a strong guess. We don't have the proof. But I really think right now, as much as I agree with all the evil of the deepest state, I think they have a step aside, allowing IRGC to take care of this issue for them. Because that way they can protect themselves if it comes to any kind of backlash from American people. Hey, if IRGC did it, Democrats had nothing to do with it, therefore there won't be any, unrest going on inside the country. That's what I really think is going on here.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, Annie. And then I would say another country to consider is China, because China certainly has a motivation to shut down Donald Trump. China certainly has an axe to grind. They don't want him back in the White House. They like having Tim Walz as vice president. They're going to like Kamala Harris. So I would not put anything past the Chinese and what they could possibly do to try to, stop Donald Trump.
Well, Annie and Jeff, you're implying that our enemies would rather have the Democrats in power than Trump.
Oh, they don't rather, they pray for it. Because our enemies are buddies of the Democrats, and our enemies are terrified of President Trump. So by definition, they will pay, they will kill, they will hack, they do whatever it takes to make sure President Trump does not walk back into the White House.
Well, thank you, Annie. And Jeff, there was this parade that the Taliban had, and they're parading and showing off all of this billions of dollars of military equipment that Biden gave to them as a present. So the Democrats are good friends with our enemies, aren't they?
They really are, Jamie. I interviewed on my radio program the last Afghan commander before the country fell. And he really explained to me the whole tragedy of how Joe Biden and Kamala Harris handled that. So we're talking about $85 billion in equipment turned over to the Taliban. Now the old gang is getting back together again in Afghanistan. The terror groups are, becoming powerful again. We just heard reports that the Islamic State is now growing once again. And remember, when Trump was president, he did a great job in going after them. He really curtailed the influence of ISIS. He destroyed them. And all these enemies were in a box. And now it's like the world is on fire. That was one of my recent columns. I mean, we've got war everywhere. We've got the Middle East in flames. We got Russia and Ukraine now getting even into a more severe conflict. Our border's wide open. We don't know how many terrorists we have here, Jamie. There could be sleeper cells all over the place. China's, again, threatening Taiwan. North Korea is back to saber rattling and shooting off missiles. Literally everything is falling apart. And we've got a mentally incompetent president, and we've got a flat out incompetent vice president right now. And we're supposed to feel good about it. And we're supposed to put back in charge the same type of people that created this mess. I mean, we gotta wake up the American people, Jamie.
Very frightening times. Thank you, Jeff. We're going to take a quick break with our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back.
The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took My Pillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented My Pillow to bring you the best pillow in history, My Pillow 2.0. Just like all of you, I never imagined that My Pillow could get any better. That's why I haven't changed it in nearly 20 years. Then I heard about a revolutionary new technology, and I knew I had to bring it to you all. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
The My Pillow 2.0 is cooler and softer than the last My Pillow. It is so comfortable to sleep on at night. I look forward to going to bed, and I wake up well rested in the morning.
Sleep is all about temperature and height. My Pillow 2.0's patented adjustable fill is going to give you the exact individual support you need from your head to your bed. And now here's where it gets even better. We've all experienced those temperature-related sleep interruptions where you get too hot, you toss and turn, you flip your pillow over to the cool side. Well, all that's gone with my brand new My Pillow 2.0 cooling fabric that's made with temperature-regulating thread.
The best sleep just got even better. Whether you have a MyPillow or not, you need to get the brand new MyPillow 2.0. Call or go to MyPillow.com now. Use your promo code, and for a limited time when you buy one, you'll get a second one absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
Visit MyPillow.com.
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to go to MyPillow.com or mystore.com and use promo code GG21. You can get a discount of up to 60% off all the amazing products, and you're going to be helping out the great Mike Lindell as well as the Glazov Gang. And if you like one-of-a-kind handmade art, make sure to go to lutfstudio.com and purchase resin art pieces made by the one and only our producer, Annie Cyrus. Use promo code GLAZOF to get special discounts. And you're going to be helping out both Annie and the Glazov Gang. We're back with the one and only Jeff Crouere. Jeff, always such an honor to have you here. President Trump is suing the DOJ, I think for about $100 million over the Mar-a-Lago raid. What do you make of it?
I love it. One of the things I love the most about Donald Trump is he's a fighter. He fights back. And I loved it from the day he came down the escalator, and I love it today. I mean, there's nobody who's been more abused than Donald Trump, but there's nobody who fights back better. I mean, he is got a great case. I mean, they didn't need to raid his house. They didn't need to go through his wife's closet, his son's bedroom. This was all unnecessary. It was under lock and key by Secret Service guard. This was done to abuse Donald Trump. Of course, Joe Biden had classified documents in a garage. It was wide open. Anybody could have had access to them. Hunter, was roaming around. And of course, he had classified documents in the Penn Biden Center, where the Chinese were the major donors. And we don't know who was on the visitor log to this center. So there could have been Chinese agents. We don't know. But of course, they didn't prosecute Joe Biden, did they, Jamie? They only prosecuted Donald Trump. He has a case. I know some of the experts say it's going to be a stretch. I don't care. At least he's making a statement by fighting back and suing them. They have been the Department of Injustice, not the Department of Justice. It's a travesty what goes on with the Department of Justice. When he gets in there, Jamie, the DOJ needs to be completely cleaned out.
When you say when he gets in there, you think Trump is going to be in the White House?
I think he's got a better than 50% chance. I mean, I think he is got a 51% chance. I would say it's going to be close, but he might not win the popular vote, but I think he's got a shot to win the Electoral College and to pull off another miracle victory in spite of everything thrown at him, all the odds against him, all the forces that Harris is going to have with her. I mean, I still have confidence that there are enough Americans that will stand up and say, hey, we're going to support Donald Trump. So I mean, I think he's got a better than 50% chance of being elected. And I've got to think that way, Jamie. I mean, I can't even contemplate America under these other two people that are just so dangerous and so destructive. So I'm trying to stay positive, optimistic. And yeah, when Donald Trump gets in there, he needs to clean house, Jamie. He needs to go in there and root out all of these deep state actors that are all throughout government.
Well, I definitely think that he's going to win. You know, I think he won last time. I just don't see how the globalists would let him in. They're going to just try to do everything they can when he wins this time. You know, with their tricks, as we know, of all the stuff they do with, you know, the stopping of counting and then the weird things that happen afterwards. Maybe there'll just be this crazy bird flu that'll happen and they'll have to lock everything down, or some kind of martial law. But they're going to definitely do all they can to stop him from getting into the White House, right, Jeff? He's a huge threat. He's a huge threat to what the deep state and the globalists, and I'll add the Luciferians behind them, are up to, right?
100% right. That's why they tried to kill him. I mean, I don't believe that this guy, this 20-year-old kid, was able to do all of this on his own. I don't believe that this was just some lucky shot where he almost killed him. I believe it's a much bigger conspiracy than that. So, I mean, they tried to stop him every other way. Why wouldn't they try to kill him? And I worry about his safety every day, Jamie. I worry about him as he travels around. I worry about all the different ways that he could be attacked. So I'm hoping that he has his own private security to support whatever the Secret Service is doing, because whatever they're doing was certainly not enough on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Well, Jeff, this Mar-a-Lago raid, it didn't do too well legally. It ran into some stumbling blocks, as we know. And hopefully this lawsuit that Trump is waging on the DOJ will at least bring up some interesting facts, including that, if I am correct, you know those pictures they had of all the documents? It turns out that the FBI it wasn't completely accurate what they had found in terms of what the pictures presented, right?
Well, that's called staging, Jamie. They staged those photos.
Right.
And you do know that they were gun-toting agents that were going in there. I mean, we're talking about the president of the United States, his residence, and they were carrying guns during this raid. This could have been an even bigger disaster. So, yeah, I think there's so many different ways that this can be prosecuted, and hopefully there'll be receptive court that'll take this up. But somebody's got to stand up to these people. And what I think so many Americans love about Trump is that he does it, and he says it all the time. I'm, standing up to them because they're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I'm just in the way. And I think he's so right about that.
Well, look what they did to Michael Flynn. Steve Bannon's in jail today. Look what they've done to Alex Jones. The list goes on and on. And, there had to be all those helicopters and SWAT when they came for Roger Stone. I mean, that was just so important. He just posed such a military threat to America. They had to send the SWAT in at 5 or 6 in the morning. Just bizarre, Jeff. Another thing that's bizarre, Kamala Harris and her website. It's also like, I don't know, the last days of Leonid Brezhnev, they were kind of holding him, carrying him around. Nobody was sure whether he was alive or not. There's a little bit of question about Biden. I mean, is this guy alive? Is it really Joe Biden? There's people saying that it's not Joe Biden, and I don't think they're completely crazy, to be honest. I just don't know now, and so we don't know who's in charge. And Kamala laughs a lot, and she cackles a lot, and she does, gives her speeches about the burdens of the past. But what are her policies on her website? What interviews is she doing? again, a very hollow person, right?
100% right, Jamie. I did a column recently where I called her Kamala the Chameleon because she wants to be all things to all people. She's against taxing tips. Well, she cast a deciding vote that added all these IRS agents to go after people who made tips. She says that now she's changing her view on fracking. Now she's supposedly for border security. So she's a phony, a fraud. She's someone who I think deep down, though, is trying to mask her liberal, progressive, radical beliefs, trying to get herself elected, get her into the White House, and then we're going to see the real Kamala. And it's going to be a pretty scary sight because in her heart, I think she's a Marxist as well as this running mate. Look at her big decision so far. She chose a Marxist for her running mate, or maybe I should say a Maoist for her running mate. Someone who's been to China 31 times. Who honeymoons in Red China? Well, this guy does. Who goes to China 31 times? He does. So he was draconian in the COVID lockdowns. He's got the worst policies across the board. So they're a perfect fit. But she doesn't want to let anyone know about her real radical beliefs. So her website has nothing, no interviews, no news conferences, and she's going to try to just glide into the White House, Jamie, on joy and good vibes and positive media attention and let everybody criticize Donald Trump. And she's hoping to get in there on the support of all of these corrupt folks in the media, Jamie.
And thank you, Jeff. And it's every scene is cringe. Just every scene is cringe. Just the way she laughs and what she talks about. Remember, she was talking to those children about space. Just recently they showed this interview, because she really tries to, she tries to posture as a black woman that's very part of the black experience in America. And it's questionable on a few levels, as we know. But recently she's asked, what rapper do you like? And she starts going, oh, Tupac. She starts talking about Tupac on the assumption that he's still alive. Like Tupac was killed in the mid-90s. And then, so the interviewer says, okay, well, how about somebody else? Name another rapper that you like. She couldn't name one rapper, and then goes, well, I'll just say that I know about a few of them, but they need to stay in their lane. It's so cringe, Jeff. It's horrifying.
She's a fraud.
Yeah.
I mean, she's trying to pretend she's something that she's not. Look at the interview she did on the show called The Breakfast Club. She goes on there and starts talking about how much she loves weed and marijuana brings joy. When she was a prosecutor, she prosecuted 1,900 people for pot smoking. And now she's supposedly this marijuana lover. So she's all over the board, Jamie. She's pandering to whatever audience she's in front of. She's got no principles, only ambition. And, somebody like that is dangerous.
Annie, what mood and what mood do you get into, and what thoughts do you have when you observe Kamala?
I don't observe Kamala. I don't. I can't. It's self-harm to do that. But when I am forced to hear her because I need to stay educated on her next trick and lie, as I mentioned, I think previously on this program, I agree with Jeff. She's a fake. She's a phony. She will say whatever she thinks at that moment will get her to the next destination. From day one to today, of looking to today, Kamala has zero understanding of any policy that he talks about or he's against. If you would ask her to elaborate on any of these policies, she would be like, every day, I need to go. The fact that she has got this far with her quote unquote career, and there are still people out there who say I'm with her, is the scary part. Kamala herself doesn't scare me. Those who still believe in her scare me. The fact that our fellow Americans are so naive, so I just leave him at naive. It's scary. This woman has proven to know nothing. This woman has proven to be anti-American, and she loves money and fame, and she's evil. That's the bottom line. She is evil.
Annie, you have to stop beating around the bush and start saying what you really think, Our time is growing short. What an honor to have the wisdom of Annie Cyrus and Jeff Crouere. Let me touch on this with a little bit of the time we have left. Jeff, voter ID is very racist. They can't have voter ID, but if you want to attend Kamala's rallies, you got to show ID. It's very interesting. What do you think?
I think it shows the hypocrisy of Kamala Harris. I mean, she wants to make sure that she knows who's in her rallies, but she doesn't care who votes because she knows that a lot of the people that are voting are people that are not legitimate voters and people that are illegal aliens and people that are fraudulently voting. So, yeah, there is a real problem with these Democrats and their position about voter ID. It's not racist. Voter ID is an essential part of having the integrity of your vote. I'm proud to say that here in Louisiana, that we require voter ID. Thank goodness. We don't have a lot of, we don't have any drop boxes. We have limited early voting, limited mail-in ballots. So we've got a pretty good system here compared to a lot of these other states where this rampant voter fraud is going on. And one of the key pieces is not having voter ID. And the Democrats always say it's racist. And I think it's racist to say that African Americans can't get a voter ID. It's racist to say that Hispanic Americans or people that are minorities can't get a voter ID. That's lunacy. But that's their argument, that it's somehow racist, Jamie.
Crazy times, and I think maybe biblical times in terms of prophecy, end of the world, revelation kind of stuff. I don't know, there's something going on. And the forces of evil surrounding Israel. And Iran might attack Israel. Will they attack Israel? Should Israel launch a preemptive strike? What do you think about the Iran-Israel conflict or imminent conflict?
You know, I think Israel is surrounded on all sides by proxies. Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and then the Iranians themselves back on April the 13th launched missiles into Iran. Fortunately, 99.9% of them were shot down. So I think the Iranians are depending a lot on these proxies. And I think Israel, if we would give them the support they need, would be able to take care of all these proxies. I think Israel should be allowed to take care of Hamas. How can you have a terror group there as your neighbors? How can you have a terror group that you somehow have a two-state solution with? I don't believe in that at all. So, you know, again, I go back to when Donald Trump was president, Jamie. We had none of this. We had Iran in a box. We had Hamas that was less of a threat than they are now. And Israel was doing peace deals with Arab countries. We had the Abraham Accords. Yeah. Now we've got hell breaking out all over. So it's just leadership. We don't have any leadership.
And what's so scary, just some reports came out recently that the Biden regime is feeding information to Iran and Hamas in terms of the Mossad operatives that were involved in the taking out of the Hamas leader. So the Biden regime is betraying Israel and giving information to our enemies. And this is very, very scary. Israel might have to go it alone. Annie, you are an expert in how the mullahs think. What do you make of what might emerge with Iran and Israel?
Well, I just want to make this very clear. What the Biden regime is doing by giving information on Mossad agents in Tehran, this didn't happen today. Neither did it start with Biden regime. Democrats in power since 1979 until today have provided names to Islamic Republic of Iran, not just Mossad members. A lot of Iranians outside of America who were fighting against the regime. Their information was given to the Iranian mullahs by the Democrat regimes and governments. I just want to be very clear. We're hearing about it today, but if you look back at all of the assassination that took place outside of Iran and inside of Iran, towards those against the regime, the information came from American Democrat governments. That being said, with the recent news that came out very recently, and it hasn't hit the Western media, I guess, or they don't want to talk about it, IRGC is putting together a new proxy terrorist group in Jordan. They are moving weapons, soldiers, and trainees into Jordan. So they are boosting up. I am not the one to ever say for Israel to stand down. I actually think they need to reverse engineer this, take out the mullahs. The rest of them are going to be gone in 48 hours. They will starve. If there is no IRGC, there is no Hamas, there is no Hezbollah, there's no Houthis. They don't exist within 48 hours. However, I would say under the current administration in America and Canada and the current disaster of Europe, Israel need to play this extremely carefully because they are on their own on every angle, whereas Iran is building up more terrorist groups now in Jordan. That would be my take on it. And I know we're running out of time, but I want to make sure we do talk about the two very good news and victory we just achieved, even though things look dark. But don't forget, two of the squad members, Cori Bush and Representative Jamal Bowman, I think is the pronunciation, they both lost the primaries. That is huge victory for us. So let's just stay positive as we get through the next few months until November.
Thank you, Annie, so much. Jeff Crouere, last words of wisdom go to you this evening.
No, I agree with Annie. I think those were two big victories against squad members. I was hoping that Ilhan Omar would go down to defeat. She did not. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. The Democrat Party is a Democrat Party that is no relation to the Democrat Party of Harry Truman. This is a radical Democrat Party that is out of the mainstream and needs to be defeated. We need to send Donald Trump to the White House, Jamie, and we need Republicans in control of Congress. It's the only way we're going to get this turned around. And I'm thinking, Jamie, that if he gets in there, and I hope and pray he does, he's going to be even more effective than he was the first time because he's learned all those lessons from the first administration that he can apply to this term. But as you said earlier, we got to get through this election and all the shenanigans, all the stealing, all the different ways the Democrats and the media and the deep state are going to try to steal this election. And I'm hoping and praying Trump and his team and the Republicans are prepared for what these guys are going to do in these weeks ahead, Jamie.
Thank you so much. Annie, thank you for your profound words of wisdom. Jeff, thank you for your profound words of wisdom. Am I correct that everybody should buy the book America's Last Chance? And everybody should be visiting you where, Jeff?
My website is my last name, crouere.net, CROUERE.net. And Jamie, there's links to my columns and videos and show information and book and social media handles and a poll we're doing about who's really running the country. I'd love to hear from people who they think is really running the country because we know it's not Joe Biden.
Well, thank you for being such a stand-up guy. And you dressed a little bit like Donald Trump tonight.
I consider that a compliment, Jamie. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff Crouere. Everybody get Jeff's book, America's Last Chance. Make sure you're visiting everywhere he is and follow his work. And we'll see you soon. Good night.